Welcome back to another episode of Friends with Dreams. I'm Jean Marie.
And I am Terry. Today we have a special guest, the one and only Mr. Jordi Masala. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. I'm very happy to be here. So, yeah, John Marie and to Mr. Terry called me like, Jody, you need to be here. You need to be on our podcast. So, I'm here to answer some question, and I'm very happy to be here, man.
Hey, that's actually true because we were chasing him for a long time. We had a different people, different background in here, and this gentleman is studying to be a pastor. He's already reading at church, and we have a lot to learn from him, especially and the journey to be a church leader, a pastor, and high school, college. And he's the calmest, and I think the wisest person in our group. So today we're gonna try to talk about it, and Jean-Marie have a lot of questions as usual. He's the mindset of this thing. So Jean-Marie, so how about we start? Like we're gonna cook him, or like you're gonna answer us with some question.
Yeah. By the way, I've known Jordy since he first came to America. He came like a few weeks after we came. Me and my brother David came to America, and we went to church together. He went to the same school as my brother David Plainwell, and yeah, they graduated together, and they graduated together, and I went to their graduation. So I've known Jordy for a very long time.
I want to actually interject to that. He's right. So far, if you take a note, like most of the people we have in on the channel are the people we know. But hey, you can comment too. Like if you have something you want to share, this is a friend with dream. We want to have everybody on the platform. Like I said, Jean-Marie gonna answer him some, like ask him some question as usual, and then we're gonna go ahead from that. So yeah, Jody.
Yeah,
Jordy, what made you want to become a pastor?
that's a good question. What made me become a pastor? I feel like being a pastor, it's not something like you just wake up like, oh, I dream to become a pastor. It um it's a calling. uh it's after college, bless you. If Jamari is after college that I started to have the inspiration of becoming a pastor. And you remember, Terry, remember, we used to live that life, man. We used to live that life. And back then, I was Christian, but at the same time, I was doing the stuff that doesn't please the Lord, and I was just going to church just because of sake of going to church because I was Christian. But at some points, and I fell in love in the gospel. I fell in love of, advising people to come back to God, and inspiring people with the word of wisdom. And it becomes something that I started to like, and and I felt the calling. And I mean, some people talk about like I had a dream, God told me this and that, but the passion of reading the Bible has become real to my life. I start discovering stuff, and I can hear the voice of the Holy Spirit that telling me, go and become someone who will explain the Bible to people who doesn't understand it. Because I notice like every time that I read the Bible to somebody, it's kind of, there's like a power that God gave me as a gift. Every time that I explain it, people understand it well, and they always be like, "Wow, man, you have a gift of preaching the word," And it's where I started to be aspire to become a pastor, and I haven't become a pastor yet. I feel like you can become a pastor in different way. You can go to school and have a master of divinity and be ordained as a pastor, or you can be in your church community, and the community can ordain you to become a pastor. So it just depends on what you want to get, because we have some reformed church, who are Baptist, Lutheran, you can get into their program and become a Lutheran pastor or a Baptist pastor. So for me, I'm more in the Pentecost kind of reform area. So I want to become a pastor in a community now as a reform type of setting and stuff. So
That's a great. Like, I've been knowing him for 11 years or 12 years now, and we have done a lot of things together, right? First moving to US, and I know he was a great basketball player in a high school, and even though he didn't like, he graduated from high school into college. If I'm alright, you went to Plainwell for high school,
yes,
and you went to Grand Valley University, State University, right? So, like, for me, I just wanna you to walk us through from when you really started to say, okay, what I'm doing with Terry and David and the other people is not there. I wanna be a pastor, So when that kicked in, like, it was like, yeah, everyone have their when he started, right? So yeah, and why? Because I know you're a great rapper too. First, guys, there is a funny thing. In Algeria, when we met, and they used to do hip hop. When they is it how you call that, the inner share in English, the hasher. So
it's a refugee, but I don't know what to call, but
yeah, they used to invite him to sing for the refugee kid.
yeah.
Yeah, so I used to think like he said Mabutu, Mabutu, and he told me no, I'm saying La Rutun, which mean the wheel turn. Yeah, so I want to just know, like, were there a conflict of being a rapper and a pastor, or could you do like a hip hop and being a pastor? Because I've been seeing a lot of video gospel hip hop, like
Yes,
how they say.
I
So
like that. I like that question. Yeah, I like that question, Terry. That's really the question that I wanted to answer to. My life journey. Like I started to, when I started rap, it was all about like talking about my emotions, my feeling. I'm feeling sad. People hate me, all those stuff. And then when I grow up, I understand like those type of thing was just to make me the man that God wanted me to be. And then I switched my rap into doing gospel music. And I was like, oh, this is hope. You can be depressed, but there's hope in Jesus. All those stuff. And then after that, God called me to be preaching the word. I feel like rap helped me to know more about the Bible, because when you rap, you mostly telling the story in the Bible, and when you know those stories, you can kind of put in your song and all those stuff. And I feel like it was a time where God was shaping me.
One of your his best songs were always when he was talking about God. Like, I've been praying for a
every
better
day,
day.
yeah,
And,
yeah. Zamari is right. You
and
guys
then
should check out his
Baba
YouTube,
Cool Music.
Instagram, Babaku. Yeah, he was a
Babaku, yes.
Babaku music. You have a lot of great music, and even the music you did for the wedding of your friend.
Oh
You
yeah,
remember that?
tango danga.
Tango Nanga, I don't speak Ningala, but I love that song, right? So yeah, and Zamari had a lot of anecdote, a question, like very important one. We really want you to answer them before we let you go, because it's hard to catch you.
I
I've
know.
been after you for months now, So we have you here. Why not just answer the question we have for you? So Zamari,
Um, um, what have you, what Bible person has inspired you the most?
Yeah. So one person that inspired me the most is Peter. You know Peter
Yeah,
in the
Peter.
Bible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that guy because that guy was just a fisherman, and then he saw Jesus. He was fishing, and he was fishing, and then did he find anything? And then when Jesus comes, he's like, "Oh, go do that again. Throw the nets in the water." And the guy's like, "Man, I've been struggling, man. How would you say that?" And then when he threw the net to the water, is where he found like a lot of fish. And
Hey,
then he discovered like, "Oh, this is Jesus. That man has something, man." And then Jesus said, like, "Follow me. I'll make you a fisher of men. You will no longer fish. Fish. You're gonna fish men now." you know. So yeah, I like that man. That man wasn't educated or trained, but he was just at the feet of Jesus. You know, I feel like, it's kind of me, studying my ministry. I don't know everything really, but I'm at the feet of Jesus. I'm trying to learn as much as possible so I can become the best pastor that I can be. And something that I like about Peter, he he has denied Jesus at some points, but he came back to Jesus.
Yeah, he denied Jesus
Three
three
times,
times. Yeah.
man. That's crazy. And something that I noticed, I did the same thing too. I was Christian, but living as, everybody. I denied, Jesus on my way of living, of my way of respecting his will. And, I didn't give up, but I came back to Jesus. When I came back is where God kind of, inspired me to become more than I was before. Peter, after that, it was the man, the man person in the first church, because there's the first church that started before every church that you see today. So he was the pastor, the first pastor of the church of Jesus. So
That's a interesting question and a wonderful answer from these two. I'm a clueless. I don't know what they're talking about. Hey, this I'm surprised that Jean-Marie did not tell me. I know he go to the church every weekend, but he didn't tell me like he's a familiar with this figure. But now I know because he's not only stylist or fashion designer and music, and like now you know about the church too. So yeah, you guys can learn. Like that's why we invite these interesting people to come in here. As you can see, we have a different type of background of people coming in here. We talk about soccer, fashion, and music and church. And today we're talking about someone who's going to be a pastor. The future ahead, as the website call it.
Hey,
Like yeah,
the future pastor ahead.
yeah, the future pastor ahead. So he's here. So we're gonna pick his brain. We're not finishing with him yet. We're gonna just keep going. By the way, like he preach in French most of the time or all the time. But like I want him to talk a little bit about the demographic of his church and like where they are. Like we're in West Michigan right now. We're in Kalamazoo at Jean Marie's house, a beautiful background and stuff. So like can you tell us a little bit about the background of your demographic?
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so we have like a Congolese church, now a Congolese Jesus. Jesus he speaks every language and stuff. So we have a church in Grand Rapid. We are under Lutheran Emmanuel Lutheran Church. So we are in the basement and stuff. So our church is mostly from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Sometime African time, but we mostly try to respect time because the Holy Spirit is the spirit of order and peace. So, and yeah, most of the people who are in our church are Asian. I mean, Asian, and you do
Haitian? Are you talking about the yeah, Haitian?
man, hey, English is coming. On the English ahead. Yeah, so and we have mostly Congolese, and we have mostly like almost all over like Africa. Like those are African who speak French as well. Um, yeah, so we kind of not trying to leave people out. So sometime, I mean, all the time, we cannot interpret the preaching or everything that's happening in church in English, so can everybody can understand what is happening and stuff. So if you are American or you only speak English, you can come to our church and have fun time and experience kind of how we worship God in African way or in a Pentecostal way. So yeah, yeah.
That's a Latin word, right? Pentecostal way. Yeah. So Zamari, like I want you to lead us here and going for the next question because as I said, this guy is a busy man. You have a place to go, and you too. You look like you have a place to go tonight. I don't know what's going on, but So yeah, like I want you like I think you have another question for him, and
Yes. I mostly I like watching Pastor online. I like Anthony Mitchell. I know you know him. You say that again? Oh, okay. Oh, the crate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good rap. Oh, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, yeah, it's something to watch. Yeah, and I like Paul Washer too. Yeah, I feel like in this life, you just you watch people that you like, and then you're trying to take as much as you can, and I see a lot of people like trying to copy and paste. That that say
That's
that
a
again?
plagiarism, right? Yeah, I know how to say that word now. Yeah.
That's what he said. You know, if you wanna, you don't have to copy somebody, but you can take on stuff that you like about that person and trying to learn it and make it your own. So I mean that's what we learn in school, right? Yeah, you'll be like, oh, I like that person. I like how Paul Washer speaks. You're gonna like trying to be like, how can I make it my own? How can I learn how he speaks so I can be good at it as well? So it's I feel like it's a good way to kind of copy somebody instead of just you know
You don't want to copy anybody, you want to take their discipline. And once you take their discipline, then it will make you better at your craft. Let's say, like, an example is David Goggins. He gets up at like 4 a.m. to work out, but if you don't like working out, you can get up at 4 a.m. to do something productive and like start out your day, and that's not necessarily copying the routine, because every successful person is successful because they have a great routine for it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the moral or the message that these two are sending right now, you can be inspired by people you look up to, right? You don't like copy them. You get inspired. You read the books, you listen to the speech, the lecture, and like David Goggin, that dude is crazy. Like he's the craziest athlete. Like yo, that he's different, right? His mindset is different. They're right. So I was just saying again, you know talking about inspiration, right? In high school I used to be a basketball player, right? So like, who is your favorite basketball player or basketball team? I know, like, I don't watch NBA, I watch NFL and soccer. And this time, like, he was talking about LeBron James going somewhere.
LeBron James going to
to feel
Philly.
it. Yeah, I mean, my favorite basketball player is LeBron James. I know people are like, hey, it's my favorite player. It's
What about Giannis?
Giannis. I love Giannis, but mostly Giannis is for the affiliation because he's from Africa. I'm from Africa as well, so it's
Yeah, he's
yeah.
a Greek.
He's
No,
from
I know he's a
Africa.
Greek. I
No,
mean,
he was
yeah,
born in Greece, but his
no,
parents
his parents from Nigeria.